Good morning. My name is Ray. I'm with Team S.T.E.A.M. and I'm supposed to be sandblasting outside today, but it's raining off and on and off and on and has been all night. So I think instead I'm going to go ahead and build me a yard chair. Now on the bottom here, I've gone with a 2-inch drywall screw because that's how deep the channel is, and that's going to serve me the best and not go completely through the bottom of this. I don't want anything poking out. Now on the top, I would have had them poking out. If I'd have done the 2-inch, it'd have gone straight through and poked through. And even if you remove it at that point, you do have a hole in the back. So on the ones that go on the back, I went with an 1 5/8" drywall screw, just standard black. So I've decided on my bottom size, I'm gonna need 6 of them. I've got them all cut. Okay, so now I've got the 2 boards that I mean to go on the outsides here, notched here and here. So I can cut those out and fit those boards in there so I can visualize how I want this to actually look. All right, so I've got all my holes drilled, the small holes, and I've got some of the bigger ones drilled so I wouldn't risk splitting out the board, which you don't really have to risk it on this end, but on this more shallow end where there's only about 1 inch from the end, you know, you're wiser to drill your bigger holes in your top board before you ever put a screw in. And I've got just 1 in each end, that's all, just enough to hold it together. So I've got my basic design. And then all I've done is I've taken an ink pen and I've just rounded off this corner. And look at that, I mean, that's just a really, really rough sketch. Right in here, I've got about 1/4 of an inch I can play with as to where I want this line to actually be. But that's roughly where it's gonna be. So I'm gonna take this board off now and I'm going to decide on that for sure. Probably run tape on it right next to where it's actually gonna be and then cut it out. And then once I cut it out, I'm gonna trace this onto the other one and cut it out as well. So I pulled that board out. You can see my very sketchy lines on there. I'm gonna go ahead and just clamp it down to the edge of my thing with my table with these 2 clamps. And then I'm going to finalize the line, make my actual decision, and go ahead and cut that out. So I use this jigsaw here to cut out my design. And then I rounded up the edge and sanded it a little bit. Now I'm gonna put this on top of this board, trace it, and do the exact same thing. And so now I've got the outer boards cut out. Mostly, these notches are not gonna be there, but I don't know where exactly that's gonna fall yet, so I've just left the wood there, but I'm gonna go ahead and install them now and then finish drawing everything out. So I've got them screwed back on, and now what I wanna do is I wanna come up with my shape to go across the front, and I want it to be just a gentle curve. And the way that I can get that to be symmetrical and predictable is this. So what I've got here is a regular ink pen and regular masking tape, and it's just tied right to it. And there's the end. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a measurement from here to here. I'm going to find the center, and I'm going to put a little mark on the center. And then I'm going to keep the roll of tape back here and put my thumb right where I want it, right where I decide how much tape I'm going to let out, right on the center. Meanwhile, out here on this end, I'll have it right where I want it, pulled nice and snug, and then I can just go over here and over here, and it'll make a mark, a nice even mark, with just materials that I have just laying around here. There's my mark. I'm going to decide with my thumb exactly how far I want this to be, how far out. And the way, what's going to help me decide that is where it ends up here. So I want to move this forward enough with this hand right here that this ink pen comes right here to the end of this. Make sure we got it on the mark there. Now we'll hold it straight up and down as much as we can. Straight up and down as much as we can. And there we've got it. We've got a good even representation of this mark. Now I can go ahead and cut this out. So now what I'll do is pull each one of these boards out one at a time so we don't get anything confused. So I'll pull just one of them out. Just pick one at random, pull it out, make that cut, sand all the sides, put the sealant on 3 of the sides, put it back down, screw it down. And that's after we put our bigger holes in it too. And then we can move on to the next one. That way we don't lose where we're at. I understand we have holes in this board beneath here that goes across, but this way we don't have to worry about it much. We can stay right about where we were. Just like that. Now I've got the end cut off to this gentle slope. And when I get all these done and get it all up here, then I'll get my DA sander and I'll go over this one more time to make sure it's all good and uniform. But 3 sides of this have been sealed already. Just the top side remains. And that's what I'm going to do with the rest of these. I'm going to take this one off next, go drill the small holes big, and sand it down. Cut this off first, then sand it down, then seal it, then bring it back. Same thing. So you want to run through one in real time then? We'll do a 1 or maybe even 2. All right. So we're going to pull this screw. We're just doing one at a time, one board at a time, so we'll just pull those. We'll take it over. And it doesn't really matter what order we do these things in, but we need to drill all of the holes out to be considerably bigger. You can see there's the tiny hole that I put in there. Those are done. Now I have a couple marks here. I need to remind myself which is which. It's this one. It's the furthest one in. So we will put these on, these little clamps. And these are just cheap. They were like $9-10 or something. If I'm ever going to buy off-brand cheap stuff, it's stuff like this. Same with my vise. I bought a cheaper vise because, you know, they're going to be hard to screw up. More affordable. Got my Sawzall. You can use a jigsaw or even a hand saw or multiple things for this. The reason I'm rocking it is so I can always mark with my blade out in front of me where I'm going to go next, and that kind of guides the thing along. And then also I'm keeping the machine itself down pretty far, so we're just into the thin part of the blade, so I can make this corner easier. If we were into this wide part of the blade, that corner wouldn't come so easy. Not pushing too hard. I'm not trying to cause a bunch of splinters or problems. By doing it this way, I can control exactly where my line goes. Now that I'm getting close to the end, I'm using even less pressure, way less pressure. Way less pressure. That way I don't have a big sliver on the end. It's worth your patience. Now I'm going to take these off, grab my DA sander, 6-inch pad, got some 80 grit. I'll get a new piece on here. See, I'm not trying to get it clear down past all the defects. I like the defects. When it comes to pallet wood, they don't really care how it turns out, so you've got one side that's always going to be better than the other. If you're going to be doing a bunch of this, you better have a dust mask on. I'm just doing the one, plus I want to talk. Now that I'm all done with all that, we'll come over here to my air hose. Now we got it ready to go. What I want to do is remind myself which side goes up. This is the side I don't want to put sealer on. This is not a polyurethane, it's just a wood sealer. I like it so far. It soaks right in and dries pretty quick, and it's not sticky, it doesn't leave residue, it's not oily. So it's got some good qualities. But I've never used it before, so I don't know how it's going to be in the long run. Now, use my rag. That way I don't have to put on a glove or get the stuff on my hands. Like I said though, it's not bad. It's not oily or sticky, and it just wipes off like water. So I'm pretty happy about that. Now I'm not doing the end out here because I'm going to be sanding that later. So go ahead and grab this. We'll put it on here. Get a screw loaded up. Put it out here right where it goes. Okay, there's one. Now we'll want to do one at the other end. We want to keep these gaps about the same, so we'll scoot this in just a hair. Now we're just trying to get this barely below level or even right at level. You just don't necessarily want the screws up above it. Now, we'll get this last one in. Okay, now we'll go ahead and pull this one out. We'll take it over. First things first, I want to make darn sure that my mark is in the right spot. And it really isn't. So I'm going to remark it. I'm going to come right out to where that works better with a darker mark. So now that I've checked that and verified that, I'm going to come over here, set this aside, clamp this guy down. Grab the Sawzall. Nope, I better come from this other side. Gonna go by my darker mark here. Nice light pressure. Get out here on the end. Okay. Now we've already sanded this one, so all I'm going to do is just finish this out a little bit. Now we'll take her over to the clearing station. We'll make sure that we know, yep, that's the top side. So we'll get just the bottom side and the two other sides. 3 of the 4 sides is what we're looking to get here. And then we'll finish this up. Okay, now, well, you know what? We can finish this one up. The outside ones we can finish up. It's not going to hurt a thing. It's easier doing it here than it would be doing it there. That's what I did on the other side too. I just went ahead and did all 4 sides of it. No. There we go. All right. So we'll come back over here. We will pay attention to where it goes. Right about there. Right about there. Now look, we've got a couple of them, of those boards that need to be marked. We'll take this board back off. We'll go get my Sawzall. Right over here. These chairs pivot, so that helps. We'll come from the underside here. That's going to be the easiest. I'm going to go on the other side of the line on purpose so it's tucked back a little bit. Same with that angle. It's a little bit wider down here than it is right here. And I've done that on purpose, so it's tucked back just a little bit. See what happens when you push too hard and you're not patient, like I said a second ago? Yeah. I wasn't patient enough, and that's exactly what happens. This one right here, I might just sand that off. Well, I'll go behind the line. It's fine. There, see, I was patient and I didn't have to pay for it that time. All right, we'll put the board back on here. And now we'll do this last one. And now we'll put one here, one here, one here. Right where these boards go across, we'll put just one in the center of each one of these. And we'll drill them out with the big drill first, just not the whole thing, just through this top board. So you have to be careful. And I'll show you how to do that. You take your drill, where's my big drill? And you measure your depth, okay? And here, once again, we've got a tape solution. You measure your depth and you put a piece of tape on it, right above it. Right, see that? That way, we can go in the center, go right until the tape touches the board. So now we've got these holes that are all the right depth. We're not getting down into the other boards. So now we've got this bottom part done. We're going to do the exact same thing on the top part. We're going to select some boards. We'll cut one of the ends off nice and square with the chop saw before we get started. And then we'll begin laying them out in a way that the widths on the bottom match the widths on the top. See, this is a thinner board than this. So I want to make sure that this is going to be the same thickness. This will be the same. This will be the same. So the lines will be the same. So that's where I'll start. So we've got them screwed top and bottom. Got our design picked out and cut out, copied onto this side and cut out. And now I need to do my design across the top. And the way I'm going to do that is the same way I did that. I'm going to get a piece of tape. I'm going to get a pen. I'm going to pick a point that's measured to the center. And then I'm going to radius it. And now we'll go ahead and pull each and every board off of here. Drill the holes out bigger. And then cut those all off, and then go ahead and sand each one of them and stain or seal 3 of the sides of them, and then put it back on. And here we are at the halfway point. Well, all that's left is coat a sealant over it, and we can put a bow on this one. It's ready to go. Let's get that sealant on there. Well, she's all done. Ready to go many, many, many miles and many moons. We're going to go ahead and put pads back on them. And then we'll put the pads away during the winter time so they don't unnecessarily corrode. But this is ready to go. Doesn't look bad from the back. Doesn't look bad from the side. It's ready to go. So here, this is the second of 2 examples of things you can do to yard furniture to give it a whole nother lifetime, probably 10 lifetimes. And this is ready to go. It's got all of its functions, still rocks, still pivots. It's fully rejuvenated, ready to go. So that about concludes this build. If you like what you saw here or on any other video, go ahead and hit the like button and then subscribe. That's the only way really to grow my channel, and the more my channel grows, the better the chances that I can break away from painting trucks and do projects like this. See you around.